Hello students, I am V. Ellen Swarupini, lecturer from Sri Venkateswara College of Arts and Sciences, which is affiliated to Adikavi Nannaya University, Rajahmundry. Now I would like to discuss about 3rd BSc Biotechnology 5th semester 5B paper, that is Gene Expression and Recombinant DNA Technology. From this paper, I would like to discuss about the vectors topic from unit 4. Here, if you see vectors, these are cloning vehicles. We call them as simply cloning vehicles, and these are helpful in the transfer of gene of interest to a target cell. That's why, as these are helpful in the transportation process, we call them as cloning vehicles. Okay, these are nothing but small fragment of DNA molecules which will helpful in the transport of gene of interest.
Okay, so we can also call these vectors as cloning vectors or cloning vehicles or carrier DNA. This particular vectors are mostly helpful in the genetic engineering. Okay, in the genetic engineering, and different types of vectors like plasmids, cosmids, phase vectors and shuttle vectors are there. We discussed about plasmids earlier. These plasmids are nothing but small circular double stranded extra chromosomal DNA molecules which are present in the bacterial cells. That means these are isolated from bacterial cells. Okay, and these plasmids are around 1 to 200 kb in size, and they have very limited number of genes. That means they carry very less number of genes due to their smaller size. Okay, coming to characteristics of plasmids, most important characters are size, copy number and genetic marker. That means a plasmid will be in a very small size which will facilitate the easy uptake of the DNA by host cell, and also for better isolation, for proper isolation of plasmids without any damage. This small size of plasmid will help these two factors. Okay, and copy number is also a characteristic of plasmid vector. Here copy number means this will represent the number of copies of a plasmid present in a cell. Okay, in a single cell how many number of copies of plasmid are present is represented with copy number. Okay, and presence of multiple copies of plasmid is a characteristic of this particular plasmids. Okay, and also these plasmids should have genetic markers. These should have genetic markers, means for replication purpose these should have genes. Okay, genes like origin of replication and regulatory genes. So these are few kinds of genetic markers on this plasmids. Okay, and we can classify these plasmids in two ways. First one is by conjugative transfer. That means if we take conjugative transfer as a factor, we can classify these plasmids into conjugative and non-conjugative. Conjugative plasmids means these plasmids will transfer from one bacterium to other bacterium during conjugation process, and we call them as conjugative transfer. Okay, Example, F plasmid. And the next one is non-conjugative plasmids. These are the plasmids which are not transferred through conjugation. Example, call E1 plasmid. Okay. And if we take plasmid functions, if we take functions of the plasmid as criteria and classify these plasmid vectors, these are again of 5 types. Okay. F plasmids, R plasmids, col plasmids, degradative plasmids, and virulence plasmids. So here F plasmid means F for fertility. So it is a fertility plasmid. This type of fertility plasmids will contain specialized genes, and these genes will express maleness or male characteristics of the bacteria. Okay, and these genes are nothing but Tra genes. Okay, Tra means these will transfer the plasmid during reproduction process, and that bacteria containing this F plasmid is termed as plus cell or plus bacteria. Okay, so the next one is R plasmid. Okay, R means here resistance plasmid. The plasmids, that is resistant plasmid, will contain genes resistance to bacteria against antibiotics and heavy metals. Okay, these have resistance against antibiotics, different kinds of antibiotics and different types of heavy metals. Okay, and best example for R plasmid is PSC 101. Okay, and it shows antibiotic resistance towards tetracycline. Okay, so with this example, what we can understand here, each plasmid will show resistance towards one antibiotic or a group of similar class of antibiotics, or one plasmid will show resistance towards single heavy metal. Okay, so now let's see col plasmids. These will code for the toxin colcin. Sorry, today so many disturbances are there, so please don't mind. We have no other options. Okay, so let's get back to the class. Here col plasmids, these will code for the bacterial toxin colcin, and this colcin will kill some few similar strains of the bacteria. Okay, so to show the dominance, these col plasmids bacteria will wanted to show some dominance over other strains of the bacteria. To show the dominance, what it will do, with the help of this col plasmid, they will kill the closely related strains of the bacteria with production of this toxin colcin, and this colcin will be produced by the presence of col plasmid. Okay, here examples are col E1 and col B. And the next example is degradative plasmid. Okay, this degradative plasmid is responsible for the production of few enzymes which degrade the toxic substances such as toluene, xylene, salicylic acid, 2,4-D, etc. So these are the few toxic substances which will affect the bacterial growth. So for the proper bacterial growth, what that particular bacteria should do? It will have a degradative plasmid and it will produce few enzymes which will degrade the toxic substances like toluene, xylene, salicylic acid, 2,4-D. Okay, and the next one is virulence plasmid. Here virulence plasmid is nothing but a plasmid which will carry pathogenicity. It will give pathogenic characters to the bacteria. Okay, and here best example is PBr 322. PBr 322. So now let's see PBr 322 as an example for these plasmids. Let's see this PBr 322 in detail as an example for plasmids. Okay. First, see the diagram of PBr 322. So this is PBr 322. Here this particular PBr 322 shows it consists of replication of origin of replication, and it had gene markers for ampicillin and tetracycline. So this is the structure of plasmid. So if you see by the definition of plasmid, what we can tell? It is a small circular double-stranded chromosomal DNA. Okay, so here if you see the diagram of this PBr, you can get a better idea about plasmids. Okay, it is a circular one. Okay, and it is small, double-stranded. You can observe the double-stranded nature of that PBr. Okay, and it is a DNA molecule, and it is extracted from a bacterial cell. And this is coming to this particular PBr 322, it is an artificial plasmid. Okay, so artificial plasmid means it is artificially constructed. It is artificially constructed. Okay, genetic engineering is all about manipulation. Simply we alter every gene in an organism or alter plasmids. So all alterations related to genetics are studied in genetic engineering, and here we can even produce artificial plasmids, and here best example is PBr 322. It is an artificial plasmid, and basically this particular PBr is developed from two plasmids, that is PSC 101 and Col E1. Okay, so here PSC 101, this is a R plasmid. So when we discussed about types of plasmids based on functions, this PSC 101 is a R plasmid, and it has resistance towards tetracycline. It has resistance towards tetracycline antibiotic. Okay, and the other one Col E1, it is a Col E1 is a Col plasmid. Okay, so this Col plasmid means this will code for the bacterial toxin colicin. Okay, and this will inhibit different closely related strains of bacteria. Okay, so by using these two plasmids, PSC101 and COL-E1, this particular PBr322 was developed. Okay, so if you take this PBr322, this is an artificial plasmid which is used for mostly for E. coli. Okay, so for gene cloning in E. coli, this particular PBr322 vector is mostly used. Okay, and here PBR means plasmid of Bolivar and Rodriguez. Okay, Rodriguez. Okay, here PBR is will represent Bolivar and Rodriguez. These are the scientists who developed this plasmid. Okay, so behalf of their name, this PBr322 was given name. Okay, so it is a circular double stranded plasmid DNA, and here if you see 4362 BP, that means 4362 base pairs are present in that particular PBr322 plasmid. Okay, that means PBr322 plasmid is made up of 4362 base pairs. Okay, and of course it has two selectable genes. So here tetracycline gene and ampicillin gene are regarded as selectable genes. Okay, so tetracycline gene and ampicillin gene are the two genes which will show resistance towards tetracycline and ampicillin antibiotics. Okay, these are the two selectable genes. Okay, it also contains TET gene. Okay, TET gene, and this TET gene is a unique site for 6 restriction endonucleases. Okay, so these 6 types of restriction endonucleases can act on this PBr322. Okay, and also here ampicillin gene, this ampicillin gene has unique site for 3 restriction enzymes also. Okay, so here TET gene will have, TET gene means nothing but tetracycline gene. Okay, TET gene will have 6 restriction enzymes, unique sites for 6 restriction enzymes, and ampicillin will have sites for 3 restriction enzymes. That means on ampicillin 3 restriction endonucleases will act, and on tetracycline there will be action of 6 restriction enzymes. Okay, so this is about these selectable genes. Okay, so if you see this particular PBr322 is a base plasmid. Okay, it is a base plasmid for the in vitro construction of derived plasmid vectors like PUC8, PUC9, PUC10 and cosmids. Okay, that means based on this PBr322 only, few other vectors like PUC, here PUC is nothing but plasmid of University of California. Here PUC is nothing but plasmid of University of California. So which means this PUC group of plasmids were developed by University of California. So those were named after University of California as PUC, plasmid of University of California. So this PBr 322 is a base plasmid for in vitro construction of this PUC 8, PUC 9, PUC 10 and for few types of cosmids also. Okay. And ultimately this PBr 322 is helpful in the transfer of desired gene into the E. coli cells. Okay, this plasmid will work mostly on the E. coli cells. Okay, so this is the artificial plasmid for the E. coli cells. This is about the plasmid PBr 322. Okay. So this PBr 322 is a artificial plasmid and a gene cloning vector for E. coli. This is specialized for gene cloning vector E. coli. Okay. So here during the classification or categorization of these plasmids based on functions, we have seen PBr 322 under the virulence plasmids. So here virulence characters were removed, okay, and it is artificially developed using two plasmids PSC101 and COL-E1. Thus constructed from two plasmids PSC101 and COL-E1. Okay, and here PBr means plasmid of Bolivar and Rodriguez. Okay, these are the two scientists who developed this PBr with the help of PSC101 and COL-E1. And also it is a circular double stranded plasmid DNA with 4362 base pairs. And it has two selectable genes which have which will show resistance towards tetracycline and ampicillin antibiotics. Okay, so what are those two selectable genes? Tetracycline gene and ampicillin gene. Obviously it will have a origin of replication also, okay, for showing to show its activity it will have a origin of replication also. Okay, and here tetracycline gene will have unique sites for 6 restriction enzymes, and ampicillin gene will have unique sites for 3 restriction enzymes. Okay, and it is used as a base plasmid for the in vitro construction of derived plasmid vectors such as PUC8, PUC9, PUC10 and also for cosmids. Okay, here PUC means plasmid of University of California, where this PUC series of plasmid vectors were developed. Okay, and it is being used to, that means this PBr 322 is being used to introduce desired gene into E. coli cells. Desired gene into E. coli cells. You have also seen the diagrammatic representation of this PBr 322. Okay. So this is all about plasmids. Now let's see another category of vector, that is bacteriophage vectors. Bacteriophage vectors. Okay, name itself we can understand. Bacteriophage means these are viruses which will infect the bacteria. Okay, these are the viruses which will infect the bacteria. Okay, so here the DNA of bacteriophage are extensively used as vehicles to carry desired into the host cell. Okay, so bacteriophage means here when we discussed about plasmid, these are the genetic material present in the bacteria. But here coming to bacteriophage vectors, these are the genetic material, that is DNA molecule present in a virus. Here virus is a bacteriophage which will infect the bacteria. Okay. So the DNA of bacteriophage are used as vehicles to carry desired gene to the host cell. Okay. So this is bacteriophage vector. And this phase, if you see the structure of the bacteriophage, it will have a icosahedral head and a flexible tail and a phase DNA which is packed inside the icosahedral head. Okay. So here if you see the lambda phase, so lambda phases are again one kind of bacteriophages. If you see DNA of lambda phase, which is a linear duplex DNA with cohesive single stranded extensions which are complementary to each other and consist of 12 nucleotides, and these are called as complementary sites or cos sites. Okay, so here if you take lambda phase as an example for bacteriophage vector, this lambda phase consists of a linear duplex DNA. Okay, linear duplex DNA, and it will have cohesive ends. Cohesive ends means, wait, I'll show you the diagram, then you can have a better idea. So if you see this, if you see the DNA which is cleaved, phase DNA cleaved, that one is a cohesive end. Okay, that means it is not a blunt end, it is a cohesive end. Okay, so cohesive ends are single stranded extensions. Okay, though that particular DNA is a double stranded one, the end of that particular duplex DNA is single stranded. Okay, we call that particular type of end as cohesive end. Okay, and after cleavage these cohesive ends will be formed and both the cohesive ends will be complementary to each other. Okay, and these cohesive ends will be around 12 nucleotide base pairs. Okay, sorry, 12 nucleotide bases will be present. No, there will be no base pairing, that's why this is single stranded. Okay, so this is the phase DNA after cleaving, and we call these particular cohesive ends as complementary sites or cos sites. Okay, complementary sites or cos sites. Okay, and this particular bacteriophage vectors, these will consist of around 48,502 base pairs. 502 base pairs. Okay, Sorry, today disturbances are too much. Please try to listen properly. Okay, this particular bacteriophage vectors are made up of around 48,502 base pairs, and its molecular weight is 32 into 10 to the power of 16 daltons. Okay, 32 into 10 to the power of 16 daltons. And these lambda phases are used for constructing cloning vehicles. Okay, so these lambda phases are used for constructing cloning vehicles, and lambda DNA vectors are again of two types. Okay, lambda phases are used for constructing cloning vehicles, and constructed lambda DNA vectors are two types, like insertion vector and replacement vector. Okay, let's see about these insertion vector and replacement vector. So first one is insertion vector. So this insertion vectors, these are DNA vectors, DNA phase vectors, which are helpful to insert desired gene. And here for desired gene insertion, this phase DNA will be cleaved at one side. Okay, insertion vector is a phase DNA where the desired gene is inserted by cleaving the phase DNA at one side. Okay, and it is a lambda phase DNA. Okay, it is a lambda phase DNA, and this is derived from these derived vectors are developed from wild type of phase DNA. So these are developed from wild type of phase DNA. Okay, so if you see the diagram, you can have a better idea. So first we have taken phase DNA, and we treated that phase DNA with restriction endonucleases. Okay, by using restriction endonucleases, we cleaved that particular phase DNA. So finally we will get two phase DNA molecules with cohesive ends. Okay, with cohesive ends. And after, what we'll do, we'll also take a gene of interest or a foreign DNA. We can also call it as foreign DNA. So again we'll treat this foreign DNA with restriction endonucleases, which are suitable to that particular foreign DNA. And this particular restriction endonucleases will also cleave that particular foreign DNA into two parts, obtaining a desired gene with cohesive ends. Okay, so whatever the foreign DNA fragment is present, that particular foreign DNA fragment will be added to the phase DNA which is cleaved before. Okay, so finally we have the lambda vector. This is a lambda insertion vector. Okay, so this is how we develop a lambda bacteriophage insertion vectors. Okay, so what we have done here, a single restriction site will be present on the phase DNA. Okay, there will be a single restriction site. Okay, so on that restriction site, restriction enzyme will act and that particular phase DNA is cut at one side by a group of enzymes, and a small fragment of foreign DNA is inserted between those two phase DNA molecules. Finally, we will get a insertion vector. Okay, and this is about insertion vector. Now we will see about replacement vector. Replacement vector. So here by name itself we can understand this replacement vector. Here phase DNA, a fragment of phase DNA is replaced with desired gene. Okay. So whereas in insertion vector we just cleaved the phase DNA at a single site, and in between the two fragments of that phase DNA we have inserted the desired gene. Okay, but here we will remove a fragment of this phase DNA, and in that particular phase place we will place a desired gene. So replacement vector is a phase DNA where the fragment is removed and desired gene is replaced. Phase DNA where the fragment is removed and desired gene is replaced. That way we call it as replacement vector. Okay. If you see the diagram, you can have a better idea. So here first what we have done, we have treated it with restriction endonucleases, and in this a segment will be deleted. Whatever the segment shown with the dots will be removed. Okay. Then we'll get two phase DNA fragments. Then we'll take a foreign DNA. We treat it with restriction endonucleases, and we'll get a desired gene. Then what will happen? We'll place that foreign DNA in between the phase DNA molecules. Okay, so this is how this replacement vector is constructed. Okay, so it is a phase DNA and it is derived vector developed from wild DNA, same as this particular insertion vector. Both insertion vectors and replacement vectors are developed from wild DNAs, wild phase DNAs. Wild here means these are the purest forms. Okay, so from this wild phase DNAs we are developing artificial vectors. Okay, so this type of vectors have two regions or sites for restriction endonucleases. Why? Because this is for two sites for removing foreign DNA and also removing the fragment of the phase DNA, and also to replace the foreign DNA segment. So for this purpose it consists of two regions or two sites for restriction endonucleases. Here this is one other important difference with insertion vectors. In insertion vector what will happen? Only it will contain one restriction enzyme site. It has one site for restriction enzymes, but this replacement vector contains two regions or two sites for restriction endonucleases. Okay. Why this particular replacement vector is having two regions for restriction endonucleases? One site for the removal of the phase DNA and one for the addition of the foreign DNA segment or sorry, here we should use the word replacement. Why? Because we are replacing that particular phase DNA fragment with a foreign DNA segment. Okay. So this is the these are the two types of vectors, that is lambda phase vectors. One is insertion vector and the second one is replacement vector. What are the differences? Two major differences between this insertion and replacement vector. First one is the process. Okay, insertion vector, simply a foreign DNA is inserted, but in replacement vector, phase DNA fragment is replaced with desired gene. Coming to restriction sites, here insertion vector have one restriction site, whereas replacement vector have two sites. Okay. So this is about bacteriophage vectors. Okay, these bacteriophage vectors are taken from the viruses which infect bacteria, and these are used for the carrying of the desired gene into the host cell. Okay, and one of the best example is lambda phase bacteriophage vectors. Okay, and these lambda phase vectors consist of cohesive ends after treatment with restriction endonucleases, and these will produce cohesive ends with single stranded extensions, and these will be consisting of around 12 nucleotides, and we call them as complementary site or cos site. Okay, and it is made up of 48,502 base pairs. Okay, and molecular weight is 32 into 10 to the power of 16 Daltons. Okay, so these are again two types insertion vectors. Here if you see the diagram, you can get an idea. Here just foreign DNA is just inserted, whereas second one is replacement vector, in which fragment is replaced with foreign DNA. This is about bacteriophage vectors. Okay, so listen to the class carefully, as we have many disturbances. If once again listen to this class. If you have any doubt, please contact me, and please keep the material with you while listening to the class, as I know this class is very completely there are many number of disturbances, so